Hello to everybody.
No, one
So,
second. Still doing it. It's setting it up your meeting for YouTube. 1 second.
sure.
You're live.
Okay. Well, hello everyone watching this live stream right now. Right now, we're going to run through the installation for text generation web UI by Obabooga. This is also known as the most favored web interface for testing and prototyping and fine-tuning large language models that are offline. Today we'll run with a few steps. First is to have a content environment available. Second is to clone the repository and to be able to run the server so that you can download and test your models from this. After we've installed everything, we can run through a few items and settings in the model in the web interface that we can use to uh, to figure out how to use LLMs in our local systems. So first, it's also important to know if you are running a Linux or a Windows environment. We'd highly recommend Linux. And second, just a brief overview. The text generation web UI, it's a Gradio web UI, which enables three different kinds of views, like a chat view, a more assistant instruction view, and something that looks a little more traditional, where you can like the playground view. You'll see this a little later. And a few features here that are interesting is it has different ways of loading the model on the back end. You can load it directly. If you don't have any GPUs, you can load it. You can load models that just does all the inferencing through CPU, and then you have some that are either exclusively GPU or those that have a mixture of both. So depending on your setup, one of these settings will definitely run the model fastest for your system. There are also a lot of other settings for when running models that are quantized. A lot of packages also that are installed in the back end that you may not have to worry about. Just have to be a little familiar with. And finally, there's some beginning work about having multimodal pipelines, but I personally haven't tried these yet. And extensions, if you want to bring the Gradio API outside to connect with your other scripts like LangChain and all those other programs that interface with LLMs. As in the in the chatbot space, it's also this text generation web UI. Obabooga also has the ability to create personalities, and if you want to have and create chat characters or want to do a role play game or have a virtual assistant, you can set a personality so that it's very easy to talk to the model. You can also attach APIs like text to speech or audio speech recognition like Whisper. All of these things you can add as additional add-ons. So what's the first thing we do when we install? So depending on your operating system, you want to either for Windows people, you can go straight to the Windows installer. So one-click zip, and then it's going to install it by itself. But for the Linux users, we would highly recommend using Anaconda. So here's assuming that you already have an Anaconda environment, the first step you do is to create your Conda environment. So we use in the terminal, you use the command conda create -n, the name of your environment. Most people use the default text gen And the Python version, the recommended is 3.10.9 as the latest version that you can use. And it's the one that's most compatible with all the other extensions. And after you create this, it will take some time. So we can do this right now. Well, let's create a Conda environment. So let's do bootcamp and then Python 3.10.9. Oops. And enter. So once this is done, you will have your own. Yes. This will start installing all the dependencies, and now it's done. So to activate this environment, we want to use the command conda activate bootcamp. You'll know that your system is running the environment with the word when the name of your environment is on the left side. Now, when we have this, essentially we could do a clean install of Obabooga. The next step that we do here is we clone the repository and install the web UI. Essentially, all the code in the files and folders can get transferred over to your system and synchronized with the latest. So, oops. Sorry about that. So let's copy. Paste. Oh, I already have that folder. Okay. Let me just rename that folder real quickly. Okay, so again, let's git clone. Now it starts to install everything. Now we can go to the folder, and then now we can put install all the requirements. Sometimes this might take a while. So all the dependencies, I think this already installs PyTorch 2 and the transformers from Hugging Face and a lot of the other programs that help speed up the inferencing. So if you don't want to disrupt your environment or you prefer using containers, they have a Docker file that you can use. You just build it from there. So here now are all the accelerating the packages for accelerating the inferencing and all the dependencies. So this does have support for the NVIDIA Triton models and a lot of the other uh, quantized loaders like other GPTQ, XLLama, parameter efficient fine tuning systems, and other fine tuning packages. Okay, so we're done with this. Now we're already in the folder, but to start the web UI, just type Python server.py. And this will also set up a few things at the start. And then now you get you can launch a URL, local URL. So make sure you have a connection to a local host. I know in WSL it can get tricky sometimes, but I think in Windows 11 it should be fine. Windows 10, there might be some compatibility issues, but if all else fails, just upgrade to Windows 11 or switch to Linux. Now, clicking on this link will open the web UI interface. So as you can see, there's a chat interface. It's more power. It has a lot more features than ChatGPT. You can even pick different character personalities, give them a profile picture. So when you're chatting with them, you can see their picture reply to you. And you can change all the, all the default ways on how to chat. But this is the chat interface, this first tab. The second tab is the default interface. So this one feels more like the OpenAI playground, where you can give them the system as the context and who they are, and then send the instructions. And then this one is more. Oh no, this one is more of the playground. This one is more of the instruction from the instructions. So as you can see, this one also gives you the ability to, like, if you have message boards and you want it to look like you're replying in a message board, it has also that ability, and markdown outputs, HTML outputs. As for parameters, you can have preset parameters. I'm not too familiar with all of these, but you have the ability to maximize your all the tokens. I think you can go up to 4,000 tokens. You can set your temperatures, the top K, top P, and then you can have also seeds just to see if of the generation, just to see if the repeatability of the generations, and then a lot more like penalties, penalize, and then a lot of the settings that we can be familiar with later on, and you can save those settings. Again, you can load characters. So there are some, I think the people who play the Dungeons and Dragons and role play, they have a lot of these characters that are already pre-made. You can essentially load them into this and chat with them, upload pictures. You can also have instruction-based templates already that you save, and you can have some form of memory also uploaded here. And then here also is the characters in another format. But these are parameters for when a model has been loaded already. But here is the actual place where most of the initial settings we will do, and then you can save depending on your model. So right now we didn't download any model, but we can do that, or I can just transfer model from my local folder. But the idea is, so here we have a download custom model, or LoRa. So if we go to Hugging Face and you want to download a model, oops. So if you want to download a model here, let's say we wanted for LLMs, Stable Beluga, I think is the Stable Beluga is the most popular one right now. Oh, this went to Stable Diffusion. So you can download models easily just by so this guy does a lot of the quantized models. So Tom Jobbins. So let's pick one that can fit my current setup. Uh, certainly.
Yeah, pick 7 billion for a demo purpose.
Sure, sure. Okay, here. This one should. Oh, this is up here, Laura. Longma. I don't know if long stable group. Okay, this one. Llama 2 7V chat GPTQ. Okay. So when you open this, you can see that it says that it in Hugging Face, okay, you have everything, has all the explanations. Also, it tells you what's the best. Use Auto GPTQ if you're using CUDA, or you can use all the other differences. They also tell you how you can clone this if you don't want to use the text generation. So let's get the I think 4-bit quantized version works for me. So oops, no, this is okay. So all you do is you copy these and then go back to text generation. You can paste here, and then you can just click download. And that starts downloading the whole model. That can take a while. Now we can talk about while this is downloading, we can talk about all uh the model loaders. So transformers, this is just a regular Hugging Face transformers model. XLlama HF, these are designed for quantized GPU only inferencing. Auto GPTQ is also GPU inferencing that's quantized, so the Q is quantized. GPTQ for Llama also. These are the older versions. GPTQ is slowly being deprecated. So if Auto GPTQ works best, I think Auto GPTQ works by handpicking already all the settings here for you. And then XLlama does the same thing, but it has extra optimizations. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works. So if you're using GPU only inferencing, you might start with Auto GPTQ. And then if you feel like it's a little slow, you can move to XLlama or XLlama HF. Now, if you're running a GGML model, so here you can see there's GG. It says a GGML model, chat uncensored GGML. So this model has been they had essentially fine tuned, or they set this up so that it can do mainly CPU inferencing, but with some GPU inferencing also. So for those that are running on MacBooks and all, you can use the llama.cpp model loader with a GGML model. So there's also an HF version, so you can test that. C transformer, I think this is Andre Karpathy's llama.c. If I'm not mistaken, that had come out recently. So we can also test that. But GPUs on the top, and then CPU plus GPU in the bottom. And then so those model loaders, usually they would automatically already either check these, or they already have the settings already working for them on the back end. So there's not so much use for these settings anymore if you pick the right loader. But just for additional aid. So CPU is if you wanted to use mainly CPU inferencing. Load in 8-bit is if you have the full model, but you want to load it in half weights or an 8-bit to get half quantization. and then 16 BF16 if you want the 16. Auto devices is if it can use all of the GPU or all of the CPU, it's gonna maximize everything that it can with and leaves but leave resources enough to run the web UI. Just I forget this, but load in 4-bit is if you want the so the 1/4 weights, so quantize to 4 bits, and then use double quanta if you want to. If you're using a small model and you want to double it, so about the quantization. And then these are extra quantization settings. It used to be when you downloaded an old model, you had to specify specifically, but all these loaders are already all the loaders and the text generation web UI system is already able to figure a lot of these out. So these are just so compression factors. So ideally, I don't touch this personally, but maybe we can figure also out why we need those. Now, while this is loading, you can also check. We can actually do a LoRa training already here. There's a tutorial for training LoRa's. We can follow this, but you can name your LoRa. You can also set the dimensions and how much VRAMs needed. You could set the alpha on how influence to mention like the strength and the influence, the batch size of and the gradient. So a lot of the settings related to LoRa training is already set here. You can save it, and then you can share it. They also have systems for perplexity evaluation, and if you want, if you want to evaluate your LoRa's. So now the last tab is for the sessions. The sessions is mostly for if you want to have access. So when you run this instance next time, what other settings or what other extensions do you want running side by side with it? So a lot of these things come from the documentation. So if you don't want it streaming, you just want it one full answer, you can do that. You can have some kind of multi-user. Deep speed is for and fast speeding up inferencing or for speeding up training from Microsoft. APIs if you want to expose an API, if you want to either connect. I think this spoofs an open API endpoint so that if you want to run it with LangChain or have it connect externally, like to do some kind of React, I think that's how it starts. You also have the ability to I think that's where this was, API. You also have the ability to add text to speech from 11 Labs to read out your text. Have Google Translate. Understand have some kind of memory and enhance long replies. NGRock if you don't want to do the Gradio share and you want to use NGRock for sharing. Oh, here OpenAI is for the exposing to OpenAI. If you want to use Stable Diffusion, it can also expose API, which will connect to Automatic 1111 and other text to speech. So a lot of these things we can actually see from the from the Obabooga documentation. So if you need to know more information about that, you can just go to the documentation, and then it'll explain already everything there. So everything that you need about this and all the settings they'll have. So I would suggest just running through most of it will be the documentation, and then, but generally speaking, most of what you need is just to download the model and then load it. So now that the model has been downloaded, this model downloads it to your text generation web UI folder and then models. It's gonna have its own folder there. So if you already have, if you have models on your other system and you can just transfer it here. You don't need to download, it will automatically populate the list over here. So you should be able to see it here. Now you can click on the loader. You can tell by default it tries to pick out the GPTQ because it already understands that my system is mostly going to be GPU inferencing. It also, so you can also say, let's say you only, if you have multiple GPUs, you can mention depending on the device. So this is GPU. My first, this is, I only have one GPU, so this is in index 0. But you can assign as much RAM as you want, VRAM for that, as well as your CPU. So this is my CPU RAM. I have 128 gigs. So you can also do that if you have interest. And then if we didn't get a quantized model, but if you want to do 4-bit quantized and with 128 group size, that's how it was quantized. You could do that. But yeah, so XLlama. Oh, I remember now. XLlama is usually performs better if your offline model is Llama based. So since this is Llama 2 that we're running, the chat Llama 2, we can actually, there's actually advantage in using XLlama HF. So it lets you use like a transformers model. Okay. So there we go. So now whenever you switch the loader, it will give you a status message here, and you should be able to load from there. And then any settings that you had, you can also save, or if you have a LoRa, you can add that as well, and then apply the LoRa. But since this is all set up now, you just click on load. It's loading the model and successfully loaded. Now we can pick either of the three chat messages, and now you can ask any question. So let's try this joke. Tell me a joke that is a pun about a llama in an AI model, and then generate. So llama says, so as you can see, you can create yourself a profile, or you can have an assistant. And the assistant, just like that, it was pretty fast. If you want to see how fast you're generating tokens, you can just go to your terminal. It will tell you that it generated 33 tokens per second for a total of 108 tokens. So smaller models could be faster if your GPU is fast enough. So yeah, so there's this joke. We can also try from a different system. Common sense questions and answers. So yeah, even if you try some prompts that are confusing, you can see Llama 2 chat is actually pretty good. But yeah, it actually tried to over answer. It added another question and answer. So this one is a different system, and you could do the same thing as well for this. But you could set them depending on how you want it to look like. I think GPU 4chan is the one that looks more like message boards, or it has a different system. And then QA is just the regular QA that we have. Alpaca with input, it just looks instruction response. So depending on how you want your outputs and how your chat is going to be. But this is generally it. If you wanted to regenerate a new question, so okay, so they're gonna try. Yeah, so there. There are a few other things we could add. We could definitely add so you could do a start with this reply. I know there's also there's a there's a branch. There used to be a branch here for text for this that you can actually attach long-term memory. So every time you're chatting, it will remember your previous conversations. But I think we'll have to consult the documents now because it had disappeared from the bottom already. But that's generally it. This is text generation web UI by Obabooga. And that's it. Any questions at this point from the people?
Patrick, have you tried the apply LoRa in the model train? In the model?
No, actually, I haven't personally tried one. I hadn't had the need yet for LoRa's in text generation. For stable diffusion, yes, I've personally tried a LoRa, and we can do that. We can do that for stable diffusion. But for text generation web UI, yeah, there's just much. They even have a rope scaling, so if you want to extend beyond, I think the first Llama's only until 2,000 tokens.
Yeah.
But you can even do rope scaling to enhance the context length. I think up to 8,000 or no 16,000. So yeah, we have those capabilities, but it's really a lot. There's really a lot. And X-Llama that was pretty fast. 30 tokens. You can see if you switch to auto GPTQ. And then let's say I'll do other devices to maximize both. If I ask the same question, so it's 23 tokens per second. So X-Llama is just what almost 50% faster. So if it's a Llama-based model or a fine tune of Llama, X-Llama might be useful for GPU only inferencing. Yeah. So that's it. I can move on to stable diffusion if you're interested.
Patrick, your machine is running really fast with your 3090. Mhm.
Actually, as if this is just my laptop. My 3090 will fly. It'll probably be 60.
Oh,
This
okay.
is just a mobile GPU. So imagine how much
Nice.
more with more. But yeah, no, I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate it. So it's been fine. Okay, so with that, do you have any questions, particularly Asif? I can.
No. Now we can move to the next one.
Okay, so let me stop sharing first, and then let me set up the.